All right, guys, welcome back to the 2025 edition of the Addictively Speaking podcast. This is the first one recorded in 2025. The end of 2024 was a bit of a whirlwind, and it kind of got away from me. Was working really hard, and I had a job transition that I was in, which made recording a lot harder. And I had a couple people that I was meant to interview that had fallen through, that I just couldn't get the interviews done in a timely fashion. So I kind of just like shelved it for a little bit and figured I'd wait until the new year and then try to get things back in order. So just kind of basically winding down 2024 into 2025 was a bit of a strange one. Job transition, some life, personal issues, and stuff like that were going on. So it's making it a lot more difficult to record. But I'm back, 2025. We're going to try to keep this podcast going. Hopefully, in the coming months, I'll try to start looking for more guests to have on. That way, I can kind of get back into what I was doing before, which was interviewing people and letting them share their stories about addiction and recovery. But for this one, I'm just basically going to talk about a massive achievement I have coming up in the next couple of days. Actually, it'll be next week, next Wednesday. I will be 13 years sober. And that's like a massive, massive thing. Because if you'd asked me 13 years ago if I ever saw myself getting sober, I don't think I'd have been able to envision it, picture it. You know, I didn't even know how I would possibly get to a point like that in life because I was so caught up in all the stuff I was doing. Um, it's a crazy, amazing achievement that I'm coming up on, and I'm really excited about it. 13 years. I actually went out and ordered myself a championship belt for my 13 years of sobriety. Some people get sobriety coins. I got myself a championship belt. Custom made, by the way, by this company called Ruta Entertainment. Championship material. Honestly, cool people, great process. My friend Anthony Blackwell Jr. hooked me up with them, and I got to customize a championship belt. And if you're a wrestling nerd like me, like that's a super cool thing to have done for you. I got to pick the title. I got to design it. It's really cool. Put a phoenix in the center of it. I have a phoenix on my stomach, rising from the ashes. So it has a phoenix on it. It has my kid's initials. It has the number 13, the podcast logo. It has my initials. It has my crew logo. Like it has everything. It has all the bells and whistles. It's such a cool experience to get to do that, and a cool like little reward I get to give myself after 13 years. I treat like my soberversary like my birthday. It was like being born again, being able to have a life, that was worth living. Because I thought for such a long period of time, like I was never gonna have a normal life. Like I was never gonna be able to be where I am right now. Like I never thought I'd be anything. I didn't. I just couldn't envision it at the time. When I was drinking and my life was consumed by self destruction. You know, I didn't see any other way. I just thought I'd be dead or in jail. You know, I thought that was the only way out for me because I was, you know, self destructing one drink at a time. I never knew what was going to happen. I didn't care. So it was a weird experience. It was a terrifying experience to be so out of control, so out of touch with myself. Like, so, feeling that alone. And it's a scary thing to be in that place. Um, don't get me wrong. My 13 years of sobriety haven't been easy. There's always challenges in life that you have to go through to get to where you need to be. But I know that in life, I'll never be able to drink ever again. I know that. I know what kind of person I am. I'm very more self-aware of those type of behaviors and things now. I can see it in myself, kind of look back at my life in a different way now, and I see that these behaviors were there before the drinking. The drinking wasn't necessarily the thing. I just have these behaviors where I overdo it. I just can't moderate. I can't figure out where the middle is. So I'm like all or nothing, 0 to 100. You know, I can't kind of just be like one of those normal people who just goes out and has a few and just enjoys themselves. That's not me. I was drinking to get drunk. I was drinking to get shitty. I was drinking to let the rage out, let all the anger out inside of myself. You know, for years, that was what I did because I didn't know how to process the trauma that had happened to me. Um, so that's it. Is processing that trauma, coping. I couldn't cope. I had shitty coping skills. I was 21 years old. I didn't really. I've never had to go through anything. I didn't really have any. You know what I mean? Like I never dealt with anything as serious as like the loss of a person that was close to me and a year younger than me. You know, my best friend Ron was he's 20 years old. Trying to wrap your head around that at 21, not an easy thing to do. So escaping was the only thing I could do. So I chose to drink to numb myself, to escape. And then that became this vicious circle that just kept happening. I drank to escape, and then more bad shit would happen. Then I'd drink to escape that, and then more bad shit would happen. Then I'd drink to escape that, and then more bad shit would happen. And it just constantly went this in this secular manner where I just kind of kept revolving around in my own shit. And then in that cycle, you blame everything else. You blame everything else. You blame everyone else. You don't take any ownership. You don't take any responsibility. You're not accountable for your actions. I blamed everything else. I got into a fight. It was somebody else's fault. I broke my hand. It was because of my fight. It was somebody else that somebody else started. I just finished it. Blah, 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 blah. There was a litany of excuses that I came up with to justify my behaviors. Um, and that lasted 11 years of justifying that type of behavior and also being afraid to accept a fault within myself, you know, being afraid to say that there was something wrong. It's tough. Nobody wants to admit that they have problems or that they're broken a little bit or, that they have trauma or scars or things like that. Like, it's tough to admit those to yourself and kind of own it, you know? But I got to a point where, like, enough was enough. Like, I was, in my early 30s. I didn't have anything to show for my life. Couldn't really hold a job, didn't really hold a job for years because I'd get drunk and quit or, just not show up anymore, like just dumb shit. So I wasn't functioning. I wasn't functional, I was very far from functional. I was enabled by my mother and father to continue the behavior, because my mom didn't want me to, like she would pay for things and help me out of binds and stuff like that. If I get myself caught up in some shit, she'd be the one to bail me out, and I love her, God rest her soul, but I see that she kept me in that cycle for longer than probably needed to be, but I think she was afraid that if she didn't help me, I would die. And I get it. I get it now being a parent. You just want the best for your kids. So you're just trying everything you can not to lose control of them or to lose them. And I think that's what she was worried about, that if she pushed me away, that I'd never come back, that I'd end up dead or I'd end up in jail and there'd be no way that she could help me. So I get it now. But, she took care of a lot of problems for me that I couldn't take care of because I didn't have money. I couldn't hold a job. I was, so she helped me in that aspect, which kept the cycle going longer. Um, but finally got to a point where I needed to change. And it took 11 years to get to that point. 11 years and a lot of shit, a lot of trouble, 2 DUIs, broke my hand. I had my nose broke multiple times. I ended up in county jail for a couple days. I ended up in the psych ward for a couple days. I ended up with I tried to take my life at one point because of all of it. It was a bit of a shit show, to say the least. And I wallowed in that shit show for 11 years um, until I went out one New Year's Eve, got shitty drunk, and ruined everybody's day the next day. Probably ruined everybody's night as well. I don't really remember. I think I blacked out. I was pretty well done and dusted by before midnight, well before midnight. Um, but I went to my buddy Matt's in Maryland. We used to go to these like New Year's Eve things, and you pay like a fee, and then you get all you could eat, all you could drink. What could be better to a guy who has an alcohol problem than all you could drink? I mean, Jesus. I went ape shit. I was drinking Long Island iced teas in the smallest cups you could fucking get with the most amount of alcohol you could get. I was getting wrecked. I think I tried to fight somebody before we left that night, the establishment, and then I proceeded to go back to Matt's house and throw up in his tub. I think I pulled a shower curtain down. I was a fucking wreck. Threw up all over a bed. I was just, I had to be taken care of, basically, the whole night. Like, they had to take care of me. Then I woke up the next day, felt awful, so hungover, couldn't function. We were supposed to go do some stuff. Not happening. Too drunk, too inebriated, too out of it. Couldn't do it. The whole way home was a 2 hour drive, by the way, from Maryland to Pennsylvania. And I stopped every like 45 minutes and threw up outside the vehicle for like the whole trip home. It was horrible. So I got home, and I think, so that's, January 1st. That's the 1st of January, 2000, and I want to say 2012. And I think a week or two went by. I just got in. I was starting to do some jiu-jitsu and boxing and kickboxing, and I kind of like that. And then, was it for some reason? What was it? January 22nd, or no? Would have been the 21st. The 21st. Got a bottle of coconut rum and pineapple juice, and I drank the whole thing, the whole fifth, in a night. I think it was like a Tuesday. Like it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday. It was like midweek. Did that for no fucking reason. And I was just like, woke up the next morning. I was like, why the fuck did I just drink a whole fifth on like a Wednesday night for no reason? That's ridiculous. Like, why are you doing this? You know? And it was from that moment I woke up the next day and was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done drinking. Period. I'm gonna tell all my friends I'm done drinking. I have a problem. I need to fix it. And in that moment, I had no idea what the fuck I was gonna. I didn't even know if I could do it. I didn't even know if I could make it. I was like, how am I gonna do this? Like, my biggest fear was like telling my friends. So once I did that and they were all cool and they were like, yeah, man, like whatever, like we'll support you. And I was like, wow, that was way easier than I thought it'd be. I thought it would be a lot different than what it was. Like in my head, I played it up to be like this bigger thing than I think it actually was. And they were all like, yeah, man, like fix yourself if that's what you need to do. And then it was like, whoa, nobody cares that I'm not going to drink, which I thought everybody did. And I don't know why I thought everybody did, which was great that they didn't care because that made it easier for me because I didn't feel like I had any pressure to drink. Like I knew the people that I cared about weren't going to pressure me into doing it and that they were going to be supportive of me not doing it, which made life so much easier. And then I stopped, just stopped. You know, I said before, I can't moderate. It's either all or nothing. I went to nothing and I stopped. And to this day, like now that I think back and look at it, I'm just like, how did that even work? How did that even work? You know, I was binge drinking for 11 years, aggressively binge drinking. I can't count the amount of times I blacked out or how many times I operated a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol. And I'm not talking like 2 beers, I'm talking like 16 beers, fucking 4 shots, a half a bottle of fucking rum, driving a 2-ton vehicle 60 miles an hour. Like, how did I just wake up one morning and just go, I'm done with that shit. I ain't doing that. And I think back now, I think there were some things changing inside of me for a while that I just couldn't live that lifestyle anymore. I couldn't do that. I couldn't maintain that anymore. And it made it so much easier for me to just be like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need this shit in my life. And then, you know, I got I got sober. I started focusing more on, things that I was enjoying at the time. I was finding out that I can enjoy things, that I can enjoy, that I could still have fun without being completely inebriated. That I can enjoy myself, that I could find things that were enjoyable in the time. I could enjoy. I was doing jiu-jitsu a lot at the time, and I found the gym and running. Both of them tremendous, tremendous helps. Running. I never ran before. Hated it. Hated it. Um, I like to lift weights. I like to go to the gym, but I did not like to do cardio. And I got into running, and man, that was like the greatest thing ever because it releases all the good stuff in your brain. It releases all the endorphins, you get your heart rate up. And man, was it great. It was awesome. Like I ended up losing weight because all the alcohol had stopped. I started losing weight rapidly. I was training more jujitsu and boxing and some kickboxing and stuff. So I started doing stuff like, then I started like, all of a sudden I started like coming up with like, goals and like things I wanted to do. Like I had aspirations, like all these things I found out about myself where I was like, the old me only cared about making it to the weekend and getting as fucked up as humanly possible over a 3-day period. Shit, someday 4-day period. But like, that was it. That's all my only goal was to make it to the next week and get back to being super drunk. Like that was the only goal I had. No other goals. Nothing else. You know, which if you think about it is such a sad existence. But you know, I was in a I was in a dark place. You know, and that's what happens sometimes when you're in a dark place. So I ended up coming up with like goals and like I decided like, oh, you know what, like maybe I'll compete in these jujitsu tournaments, maybe I'll test myself against other people, you know. And then I started getting a work ethic, dedication, drive to do other things. So then when I got a job that I could hold, now I could hold a job. Now like the sky's the limit. Like I could do anything I wanted if I wanted to, if I just sat down and put my mind to it, because I could see it coming in other aspects of my life, my weight loss, my fitness journey, my running, my my jujitsu. Like it was all coming together, and I could start like making plans and having a future and like deciding what I wanted to be or where I wanted to go, you know, as opposed to what was I going to drink next Thursday? How much rum should I buy? Or how drunk am I going to get on Friday? Will I be too hungover to drink on Saturday? Or will I be able to drink on Saturday, but I'll just be not able to do anything on Sunday? Those were the type of things I was used to think about. And now I'm thinking about like, so if I get this job, like how many years do I have to stay at this job before I can progress to a higher level, maybe like something else? And then I got I got a job and it went well. Then I got a better job. And by better job, I don't mean like a better job. I mean, I paid more. It was a more paying job. It was a higher paying job, which was great because I didn't have to be poor anymore and not have any money and barely be able to pay rent. So that was great. That was amazing. And then while I was in that job, there were opportunities to move up. Well, shit. Now I had work ethic and dedication and, you know, I really knew how to put forth the effort to do something because now I'm like 2 years sober, right? So now I'm like, why if I could do anything? I just done all this other shit. I was doing grappling tournaments and winning medals at jiu-jitsu tournaments and like pushing myself like every day, all the time. And I was just like, well, shit, maybe I'll get into management. So I started doing that. I started working my way up, became like a team leader, then became a manager, and then so forth and so on. And it just gave me this new ability to reinvent myself, who I was going to be, what I could be in life, you know? Then I met a girl, then I fell in love with a girl, then I married a girl, then I had kids, and then I moved countries and moved to England to live over here, you know? Which is wild to think, like, if you'd have told me 13 years ago that I'd be living in the United Kingdom and I'd be a general manager of a gym and I'd be, you know, a dad, a father of two, I'd have been like, you're fucking out of your mind. I'm going to be lucky to make it through this weekend, you know? I'm going to be lucky to, be breathing at the end of the night. And, nah, it's crazy, but it's amazing because I've gotten to have this amazing journey, this amazing recovery journey. And I've been part of so many cool things, the Skook recovers and all that recovery stuff, like speaking at schools and sharing my story with the kids and being like, don't have this happen to you, don't fall down these same paths, you can be better, you can do better. Yeah, it's just been amazing to be able to go on that ride and go on that journey. And now I get to be a dad and I get to have my own kids and experience what that's like and all the joy that that brings and all the stress and all the all the good and bad. It brings it all. Um, but I'm a better person now for it all. Going through it. Um, you can get out the other side. You can get to be 13 years sober. You can get to be 1 year sober. Like you just have to put the work. You have to want it. You have to want it more than anything. I have to want it every single day. I have to wake up in the morning and want it. I wake up. I go to sleep every night and want it because I have to. Because if not, it'll all this stuff I have in life will disappear. You know, I'll lose my kids. I'll lose everything. I'll lose all of it. I'll never risk that. I'll never risk that again. I never throw it away. I know better now. I'm more mature. um, but yeah, it's cool reflecting back at a 13-year journey that led me to here. That led me to making and creating a podcast where I can share my story and my struggles and my triumphs with other people who may be going through the same thing or who may be, you know, early on in their journey, or could be further along in their journey, whatever. Just, help them with a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of hope. Met a lot of cool people, a lot of good friends through this journey, through this podcast. So I'm going to continue to make it. I'm going to continue to come up with ideas and create content, and keep Addictively Speaking around for a long, long time. So I just want to say, if you are watching, thank you. I appreciate you. Hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, hit the like button, tell your friends. Just one share helps. Like, so just get it out there and let people know that you're supporting a good cause like the Addictively Speaking podcast, where we're helping people find recovery and stay in recovery and have a great life because of recovery. So that's it for me. I will see you guys hopefully soon with another great podcast. I'd like to thank my buddy ABJ, Anthony Blackwell Jr., for always showing me love and support and helping me create this podcast and giving me advice and always being there for me. Such a rock solid dude. I can't say thank you enough to that guy. I'd like to give a shout out to Christian's crew. I interviewed Gabe Alessi last year and his mom, Judy Alessi, um, about their organization. That's a nonprofit called Christian's Crew. So check them out. I'll drop some links in the bio and stuff like that, so you can check them out. They're always doing great things for their cause, their nonprofit organization, in memory of their son and brother. All right. You guys have a good one.